Every journey starts the same way. A stop at the gas station. The soft click of the nozzle, the faint whiff of fuel rising into the air.
You trust what comes through that hose. You assume all gasoline is the same.
But it isn't. Behind those glowing signs and loyalty discounts lies a reality most drivers never notice. Some fuels clean your engine, others quietly leave behind residue that steals performance, fuel economy, and time. For aging cars, that difference can decide whether you get another trouble-free year or face a costly repair you never saw coming.
Here's the irony. The damage doesn't happen on the highway. It happens right there while you're standing still, paying for trust that might not be earned.
So before your next refill, take a closer look, because what looks clean on the outside could be corroding your engine from within. These are 7 gasoline brands to think twice about, and 3 that actually protect your vehicle. 1. Murphy USA.
You'll find Murphy USA beside countless Walmart parking lots, bright blue pumps lined up under the summer sun. For millions, it's the symbol of savings when gas prices sting. You pull up, tap your card, hear that familiar click, and feel smart for finding a deal. But cheap and smart don't always mean the same thing.
Unlike Chevron, Shell, or ExxonMobil, Murphy USA does not carry the top-tier certification, a standard that requires stronger detergents and stricter fuel storage practices. That missing label means the gas just meets the bare federal minimum, and that's a problem. Without enough cleaning agents, microscopic carbon deposits begin to cling to your engine's valves and combustion chambers. In tests by the American Automotive Association, engines running on non-top-tier fuels built up 19 times more deposits after only 4,000 miles. Those layers work like plaque in arteries, narrowing airflow, dulling acceleration, and forcing your car to work harder for every mile. The drive feels normal, but inside, your engine is slowly suffocating. Over time, that residue thickens into varnish, trapping heat, disrupting timing, and triggering warning lights that seem random. Mileage drops, exhaust smells sharper, acceleration feels heavier. Add moisture in underground storage tanks, common in humid climates, and corrosion can creep through fuel lines and injectors. The result? A few cents saved per gallon can turn into hundreds in repairs for sensors or catalytic converters. And it all happens quietly, gradual wear disguised as normal aging. The fix is simple. Look for the top-tier sticker before filling up, or run a few tanks of certified fuel to clean your system.
Your car doesn't need premium octane, just consistent purity. Because saving money today shouldn't cost your engine tomorrow.
And Murphy USA isn't the only one. The next brand shows how the illusion of savings spreads faster than the truth. 2. USA Gasoline. If you've ever filled up at USA Gasoline, you've met one of driving's most persistent myths, that every pump delivers the same product.
The signs look familiar, the prices feel fair, the experience seems identical. But the difference starts where you can't see, inside your engine. Gas that only meets the federal minimum detergent standard leaves a thin film of residue. With each refill, that layer grows thicker, coating intake parts like syrup on metal. Slowly, the engine loses its clean rhythm. At first, it's subtle, a shaky idle, a dip in mileage, a slight hesitation when you press the pedal. Small signs most drivers ignore, but those are the whispers of buildup. Chemically, it's simple. Without strong detergents, carbon particles from incomplete combustion cling to hot surfaces, trapping heat and confusing sensors. That throws off timing and air-fuel ratios, creating higher emissions, rougher idling, and premature wear on spark plugs and catalytic converters. The proof isn't rumor. USA Gasoline is not top-tier certified. And the same AAA tests found that non-top tier fuels cause engines to develop 19 times more carbon buildup in just a few thousand miles. For older vehicles, that's costly. Months of cheap gas can undo years of careful maintenance. Power fades, mileage drops, and the savings at the pump come back as repair bills. A mechanic off Highway 99 once held up a fuel injector from a sedan that had run USA gasoline for years. The tip was dark and sticky. "It's not the miles that ruin engines," he said, scraping off the varnish. "It's the shortcuts you don't see." And he's right. The next brand proves just how expensive those invisible shortcuts can be. 3. Gulf. Ever wonder what happened to Gulf, the proud orange and blue brand that once ruled America's highways? There was a time when that logo stood for everything drivers trusted: clean fuel, honest service, and a touch of class at every stop. Road trips weren't complete without a Gulf station glowing beside the diner. But that was then. Today's Gulf isn't one unified company. It's a patchwork of independent operators renting a famous name that no longer controls its own fuel quality. After deregulation and decades of corporate reshuffling, Gulf became a brand for hire. Station owners pay to use the logo, but the gasoline they sell often comes from regional suppliers, some top-notch, others barely average. That means one Gulf station might offer high detergent fuel, while the next pumps a low additive blend that just scrapes past federal minimum standards. And that inconsistency is what turns nostalgia into risk. Engines today run with surgical precision. Injectors and valves open and close thousands of times per minute. Even a thin film of carbon can throw that rhythm off balance. What starts as a faint rattle or slight hesitation can grow into sluggish acceleration and declining mileage. The top-tier certification was designed to prevent exactly that, guaranteeing that every gallon meets stronger detergent and performance standards. But Gulf isn't a top-tier certified brand. That means there's no guarantee of consistent additive levels and no oversight to keep every franchisee honest. Independent fuel tests have found that Gulf's quality can swing dramatically from station to station, depending on who supplies the underground tanks. It's a gamble most drivers never realize they're taking. The logo feels familiar, but what's actually flowing through the hose could be anyone's guess. Newer vehicles might compensate by tweaking their fuel-air mix automatically. Older engines don't have that luxury. The result? Rough idling, shorter spark plug life, and slow but steady fuel economy loss. The Gulf sign still shines like a memory from the golden age of chrome bumpers and open highways. But memories don't clean valves, and history doesn't dissolve carbon. Heritage may warm the heart, but engines only answer to chemistry. 4. Holiday oil. Heritage may look good on a sign, but trust fades fast when no one's watching the tanks. Drive through small western towns and you'll see the Holiday Oil logo glowing softly in red and white. It feels local, friendly, and familiar, the kind of place where the clerk knows your name and the prices look fair. But underneath that small-town warmth lies a technical truth few people think about. The cleaner a station looks above ground, the dirtier it might be below. Small chains like Holiday Oil often have slower customer turnover and longer storage cycles. That means underground tanks stay half full for extended periods, giving water vapor time to condense and sediment to settle. As fuel sits, its detergent additives begin to break down. And when that old batch finally reaches the pump, it carries more residue than protection. On paper, Holiday Oil meets federal standards. In reality, those standards are just minimums, designed for compliance, not for cleanliness. That's why the top-tier program exists, to enforce higher detergent levels that scrub carbon before it sticks. According to 24/7 Wall Street 2024, Holiday Oil ranks among the lowest quality fuel brands in the country and does not appear on the official top-tier list.
That matters more than a friendly cashier or a fair price. Without strong detergents, fine particles and moisture pass through filters and into your engine, scratching metal, clogging injectors, and throwing off the delicate balance of combustion. Older vehicles show it first: rough starts, uneven idling, reduced mileage. The car still runs, but not cleanly, every refill leaving behind a little more residue. The worst part? You rarely notice until it's too late. By the time your mechanic points to clogged injectors or a failing fuel pump, the money you saved at the pump is gone many times over. Local doesn't always mean safe, and familiarity doesn't guarantee quality. For small fuel chains to earn real loyalty, they must meet the same standards that protect engines everywhere else, because trust shouldn't come at the cost of reliability. And that brings us to the next brand, Sinclair, a company that shows what happens when low expectations become a nationwide habit. He eased his truck onto the shoulder, hazard lights blinking in the glare of the afternoon sun. The highway stretched empty in both directions, the air alive with the steady buzz of cicadas. Tom Henderson, a retired trucker from Idaho, stepped out, lifted the hood, and caught the faint, sour scent of gasoline. The engine had sputtered twice before dying without a sound. He leaned against the fender, rubbing the back of his neck, replaying the morning in his mind. The little Sinclair station off Route 26, the one with the green dinosaur smiling above the pumps. He'd been stopping there for years. It felt safe, familiar, almost friendly. But as the heat shimmered off the asphalt, a quiet realization surfaced. The price had always been suspiciously low. And that morning, the pump handle had left a brown ring of residue on his hand. That green dinosaur still waves from billboards and gas stations across America, a relic of trust from another era. Once upon a time, Sinclair meant something: reliable fuel, honest service, and the cleanest oil in the Midwest. But today's Sinclair runs on a franchise system that sells the name, not the quality. Independent operators rent the brand and source fuel from different suppliers, some high-grade, some barely passable. The logo stays the same, but the gasoline inside varies from region to region, refinery to refinery. The chemistry shifts, and with it, the protection your engine depends on. A few decades ago, that didn't matter much. Engines were forgiving. But modern fuel systems are not. They rely on tight tolerances, microscopic precision, and consistent detergent levels. Without them, carbon deposits creep in. Valves stick. Idle roughens. Fuel economy fades quietly. Sinclair's nostalgia still shines bright, but loyalty doesn't clean injectors, and trust, once burned, doesn't refill easily. 6. Hawaii Fueling Network, HFN. The name sounds futuristic, Hawaii Fueling Network, but behind the polished branding lies a logistical puzzle made of ocean distance, heat, and economics. Every drop of fuel that reaches Hawaii travels thousands of miles by sea. Each leg of that journey, shipping, storage, blending, humidity control, adds cost. To keep prices manageable, suppliers start trimming the invisible margins: fewer tank cleanings, weaker additive mixes, and slower product rotation. It isn't corruption, it's survival. But chemistry doesn't care about accounting. As those shortcuts add up, additives that keep engines clean begin to break down. Heat and salt air accelerate oxidation, turning gasoline slightly acidic. Moisture condenses overnight in underground tanks, separating from ethanol and forming a thin layer of water that fuels corrosion long before the driver ever notices. Across the islands, the problem compounds. With slower turnover and long intervals between tanker shipments, fuel often sits for weeks. Instead of flushing tanks, distributors extend refill cycles to save costs, protecting their profit margins but quietly taxing engines in the process. The results show up under the hood: rougher idling, slower starts, and fine varnish on injectors and valves. It's not catastrophic, just cumulative. Day by day, those tiny imperfections steal performance and efficiency. Unlike Shell or Chevron, HFN isn't top-tier certified, meaning it's not required to use the stronger detergent blends that fight buildup. Independent mechanic reports across the islands confirm it. Higher corrosion rates, clogged injectors, and more ethanol water separation than mainland samples. It's not scandal, it's geography and economics. For small suppliers, adding more detergent or refreshing tanks faster would mean higher import costs, so they don't. Prices stay stable, tourists smile, engines suffer. The cost of paradise, it turns out, is often hidden beneath the hood. Salt, heat, and time quietly rewrite chemistry while drivers chase the lowest price. In Hawaii, even beauty has a balance sheet, and every shortcut the distributor takes eventually shows up on the driver's bill. 7. Alpra. Most people have never heard of Alpra, and that's exactly how it stays in business. The cheapest gas stations in America don't need billboards or jingles, they just need to exist. You'll spot them at the far edges of truck stops or lonely interstate exits. Plain pumps, faded signs, and a low price flashing on the board. The kind of place where the air smells like rust and the receipt curls halfway out of the machine. Budget fuel chains like Alpra run on a simple rule: buy cheap, sell cheaper, skip the extras. They source gasoline from large shared terminals, the same ones that supply big brands, but without the licensed additive packages that make the fuel cleaner and safer for engines. By avoiding brand fees, they also avoid quality obligations. No certification means no requirement to add detergents that protect against carbon buildup. The fuel meets minimum federal standards, just enough to keep engines running, not enough to keep them healthy. The Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, sets a basic detergent level, but it's a bare minimum meant to prevent engine failure, not to ensure performance. Premium brands like Shell, Chevron, and ExxonMobil exceed those limits through top-tier certification, a benchmark discount chains like Alpra simply don't reach. That gap saves Alpra money and costs drivers in the long run. Skipped maintenance, delayed tank cleaning, and diluted additives all add up. Stored fuel sits longer, exposed to air and moisture, a perfect recipe for oxidation and sediment buildup. Once inside a car's tank, those chemical changes continue. Residue coats injectors, carbon clings to valves, and sensors start to degrade. Independent mechanics across the Midwest and Southeast have noticed the pattern. Cars regularly filled at discount stations develop more buildup, rougher idles, and lower fuel efficiency, especially during cold months when condensation worsens. These aren't isolated cases, they're the predictable side effects of cutting corners. According to 24/7 Wall Street 2024, Alpra ranks among the lowest quality fuel suppliers in the U.S., mainly for poor additive control and inconsistent storage maintenance. Yet, low prices keep these stations alive, feeding an economy that rewards cheapness over durability. When a system prizes short-term savings over long-term reliability, cheap fuel stops being a deal. It becomes a symptom of a market running on fumes, sacrificing trust for margins. Still, not every brand takes the shortcut. Some invest in cleaner chemistry and tighter quality control, choosing science over slogans and consistency over cost-cutting. They don't brag about purity, they deliver it, one tank at a time. And that brings us to the other side of the road, to brands that still protect your engine instead of wearing it down. 8. Chevron. Chevron doesn't just sell fuel, it sells a formula that keeps engines clean long after the last drop burns. While most companies treat additives like a technical formality, Chevron built its entire legacy around them. Since the 1980s, its engineers have approached fuel chemistry like an ongoing experiment.
The result is Techron, a proprietary detergent compound developed from decades of research into combustion science. Tested against standard blends, Techron has been shown to cut valve deposits by over 90%, keeping the engine's airflow smooth and efficient. Unlike many competitors, Chevron controls the entire chain, from refining to retail. That means no outsourcing, no dilution, and no missed dosages. Each batch of fuel is blended precisely at the terminal, with detergent levels that consistently exceed top-tier requirements. The results show up quietly. Engines start faster, run smoother, and last longer between tune-ups. Mechanics often note fewer injector and sensor problems in vehicles that regularly use Chevron fuel. This consistency comes from structure, not chance. Chevron's logistics are tightly monitored to reduce oxidation and water exposure, two major culprits in fuel decay. Even across vast distances and shifting temperatures, the chemical balance stays stable. The benefits go beyond performance. According to AAA research, top-tier fuels like Chevron's keep engines up to 19 times cleaner than those using standard gasoline, reducing emissions, improving mileage, and extending engine life. Chevron's promise isn't flashy, it's faithful. Instead of marketing tricks, it invests in chemistry that delivers real-world results. Techron isn't just a detergent, it's a line of defense between your engine and early wear. Clean combustion isn't just good branding, it's engineering done right, and Chevron has turned it into an everyday standard. 9. Shell. For more than a century, Shell has treated fuel as both science and precision, something measurable, repeatable, and always improvable. I've trusted Shell for years, not because of flashy ads or luxury cars speeding through tunnels, but because it's never failed me. Every time I park under that red and yellow canopy, I know what I'm getting: fuel that's been tested, refined, and proven long before it reaches my tank. That quiet reliability is why millions of drivers return again and again, not out of habit, but because their engines remember the difference. Shell doesn't follow market fads, it engineers predictability. From its refineries to the pump, Shell maintains one of the world's most tightly standardized blending systems. Every drop is measured with precision and enriched with V-Power Nitro Plus, its proprietary additive co-developed with Ferrari engineers, a formula designed to reduce friction and defend against engine deposits. This partnership isn't marketing, it's applied chemistry born on the racetrack and refined for everyday roads. Independent testing shows that V-Power Nitro Plus can cut deposit buildup by up to 60% compared to base fuels, helping injectors and valves stay clean longer. When I first learned that, it explained what I'd already felt: smoother idling, quicker acceleration, and stable mileage even on long highway runs. There's something reassuring about knowing the same chemistry that fuels championship cars also protects the one in your driveway. Shell is top-tier certified across all U.S. locations, meaning every gallon meets or exceeds the detergent levels approved by automakers for long-term engine health. And that's the hidden strength: consistency. Whether you refuel in California, Texas, or New York, the chemistry doesn't change. That kind of uniformity isn't luck, it's discipline. Cleaner fuel means cleaner combustion. It protects catalytic converters, prevents sensor fouling, and keeps emissions low. It's an ecosystem: air, fuel, and fire, balanced to perfection. Shell doesn't need to shout excitement, it delivers endurance. For generations, the name has stood as a symbol of reliability, a reminder that true performance comes from precision, not promises. Shell built its legacy molecule by molecule, and it still runs on that same principle today. 10. Costco Gasoline. Costco never planned to become a major fuel name. It simply proved that fair pricing doesn't require cutting quality. Before the sun rises and the stores open, Costco's fuel lanes are already lined with cars. Members scan their cards, confident that the same values inside the warehouse extend out here too: trust, transparency, and consistency. Costco's model is simple. It doesn't profit from high margins. It earns loyalty through volume and fairness. Its gas prices are low, not because the product is cheap, but because the profit markup is. And because of the massive daily demand, Costco's fuel tanks are constantly replenished, which means fresher gasoline, less oxidation, and fewer impurities. Most stations can't match that turnover speed. Here's what surprises most people. Costco fuel is top-tier certified. That's the same benchmark met by brands like Shell and Chevron. Every gallon contains high-quality detergent additives designed to keep engines cleaner and more efficient. Independent studies by AAA and J.D. Power 2024 ranked Costco among the most trusted names in U.S. fuel quality and price integrity. In lab testing, Costco's fuel reduced deposit buildup by over 70% compared to non-top-tier gasoline. Drivers notice the difference: steadier idles, quicker starts, fewer misfires, and engines that stay cleaner for longer. It's quiet efficiency. No frills, no hype, just chemistry that works. While other companies spend millions on glossy campaigns, Costco relies on maintenance and integrity. Its tanks are monitored daily, filters are replaced regularly, and standards aren't negotiable. What makes Costco special isn't its technology, it's its philosophy. The company treats gasoline the same way it treats groceries: quality first, margin second. By removing hidden markups and insisting on additive protection, Costco turned a member convenience into one of America's most reliable fuel programs. No slogans, no flashy ads, just clean, fair, dependable fuel every single time. The bigger picture. The story of gasoline isn't really about brands, it's about trust. Every time we pull up to a pump, we're choosing what kind of standards we want to support. Cheap stations remind us what happens when shortcuts replace science. The good ones, the disciplined ones, prove that chemistry and integrity still matter. From underground tanks to the spark in an engine, every decision leaves a trace. Every act of care becomes protection that lasts. Chevron and Shell show what happens when consistency becomes a promise, not a slogan. Costco reminds us that fairness and quality don't have to compete. In the end, fuel isn't just energy, it's a reflection of values, invisible but real, burning through every mile we drive. Because what keeps the car alive isn't only gasoline, it's the standard we refuse to lower. This video or article does not promote division or make political claims. It exists purely to encourage informed discussion about transparency, chemistry, and consumer trust. If today's analysis made you think differently, leave a comment below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more independent deep dives.